What's going on, everyone? It is a great time to be a trader. There was a whole lot of craziness that happened in the market today. We saw GameStop, AMC, and a handful of other stocks go absolutely crazy. Even China stocks are moving in a big way. We have Jerome Powell set to speak tomorrow, and inflation data set to release on Wednesday. I have a great feeling that this week's going to be a good one, but we have a lot to talk about today, so make sure to stick with us until the very end. And besides that, Tom, we're not going to waste any time, so let's jump right into it.
Yeah, as you can see today, the overall market was pretty wild. It gapped up this morning, and then guess what it did? It fell down and ended up closing pretty much right around break-even price. But, Mike, I have a feeling that nobody's here to talk about the regular stocks in the market today, right? The big news of the day is that GameStop is coming back from the dead. It's up 74% today, and I'm not going to say it's all the way back from the dead yet, but it did hit $38 today, and if we scroll back, just a few weeks ago, this stock was right around $9 to $10. So to see this one coming back with this much velocity is a huge feat, right? And whenever we start to talk about AMC, it's like, and GameStop, it's like, why did these stocks go up today? Mike, Roaring Kitty, came back to life on Twitter, and he made a post that got like 20 million hits today. I almost could not believe what I was seeing there.
Yes, exactly. So for those of you who don't know, basically when GameStop and AMC had their initial short squeeze back in like January and February of 2021, it was like one of the most historic times in the stock market ever. They actually made a movie about this event called Dumb Money on Netflix, so feel free to check that out. But either way, the face of this movement was this guy named Roaring Kitty, and ever since that giant historic short squeeze happened all the way back in 2021, he has been silent, and now he basically is coming out of nowhere, and he made a barrage of posts today, and he's basically signaling that he's back in the game. So clearly that hyped up a lot of the I guess you could say meme stock traders, and it's just brought a lot of activity into some of these meme stocks like GameStop, AMC, and others. Either way, the main thing to know is that there's a whole lot of money flying into stocks like GameStop and AMC right now, and there's opportunity with them, but it is so important to trade them in a smart way, and that is a lot easier said than done. Looking at these stocks right now, they are already up a decent amount, right? And they're moving higher in after hours, or at least GameStop is. But the thing is, with the options on these stocks, they are very expensive. So as we all know, you can buy call options on a stock, the stock can go up and you could still lose. So I want to make sure that doesn't happen to you. So basically, looking at these meme stocks right now, you have to be extremely careful buying options on them because the premiums are insane. Trading shares is a lot safer with them, but even that is insanely risky right now just due to how volatile these stocks are.
Whenever you talk about volatility, I mean, these stocks are like the poster child for volatility, right? Like, whenever you go back and you look at the old GameStop, AMC situation, whether you go to a daily chart and you scroll back to look at some of these explosions, or, you know, even if you go like on a more like of an intraday chart like today, whenever this stock starts to really heat up, the volatility really gets insane, guys. And even besides like the initial pop on GameStop, like even after the fact, there's been a lot of volatility on some of these moves higher. And of course, with Roaring Kitty coming in and everything, it's making it a lot more interesting. Mike, I'm really glad that you mentioned that with the volatility on this one, especially with the options. Be very, very careful. I would definitely prefer shares right now if I were to trade it, but at the same time, it's very volatile, and just be very careful out there gambling on these. At the end of the day, these are going to be extremely risky stocks. So let me know in the comments what you guys feel about it. Like, are you guys still holding GameStop from a couple years ago? Are you just now buying into the hype, or, are you going to trade options on it? Let me know in the comments. I'll be curious to see what everyone has to say. But for tomorrow, Mike, I'll definitely be looking at it again in the morning. I had a very good morning today, and there were multiple halts. I will say, I think the halts actually pissed off a lot of traders early on. I think that this stock could have really blasted off had there actually not been all the circuit breakers in place.
Very interesting. And, when we look at stocks like GameStop and AMC, the more momentum and good price action in news and volatility that the stocks have, the more explosive they become. But at the same time, that explosive uptrend feedback loop can stop at any time. So it is more important than anything else to not bag hold your position. If you do trade these stocks, you have to make sure that your risk is managed, because whenever these stocks rise, there's a bunch of people all over the internet that, make it seem like they're just like such a great opportunity, when in reality, they're just extremely risky, and a lot of people actually got burned with these stocks really badly in 2021. So again, we want to make sure that doesn't happen. So trade in a smart way and only trade these stocks with money you're willing to risk. But either way, that is the situation with GameStop and AMC for today. We can see that short sellers definitely took a big hit, as they're down around $1 billion already from the move. But keep a close eye on these stocks going forward. But another group of stocks that have been moving in a pretty good way, Tom, are the Chinese stocks. So ticker symbol BABA, KWEB, BILI, BIDU, PDD, JD, NIO, and others are having a great move up. And, we've been talking about these stocks for some time now.
Yeah, we really have, and one of the biggest reasons why they're moving up today is actually their CPI data, which is insane to say, and it actually rose. So their CPI went up to 0.3% versus 0.1% in March, and a lot of people might say, well, hey, isn't CPI rising a bad thing? If that happened here, that'd be pretty rough, wouldn't it? But it's actually driving consumer demand. So at the same time, in this case, it's actually a good thing for China stocks. So that's good to see that their domestic demand is recovering, like Reuters has here. And Mike, we've just been seeing a lot of good news out of China lately, whether it's been the government helping to prop up their stocks with certain regulations and etc., whether it's this good news with the CPI data today. Either way, there's been a lot of great news associated with it lately, and they're continuing. So yeah, FXI is doing great here on the chart. We've seen a lot of big money plays on the China stocks lately, whether you're looking at FXI or Queb or BABA or etc. There's been a lot of them over the past few months. So I'm definitely keeping my eyes on them, Mike, and they are still breaking out. I love that BABA today broke above resistance and really ran up with some good volatility. I think there could be a multi-day continuation in store here.
Yeah, so keep a close eye on this one. BABA does report earnings pretty soon, so that will be worth watching closely. But even another one that we've been talking about quite a bit is BILI. There were two big money plays on this one, and this stock was up over 12% on the day, which is quite a bit.
Yeah, that's an awesome one, too. The 16 calls that expired in January 17th, 2025. We called out on May 6th, literally just last week on Monday, a week from today, and ended up really popping off here today, coming back with some good velocity after initially falling a little bit there. And that's the importance of giving these plays time, Mike, right? Whenever you're looking at these stocks like BILI and the China stocks, and you see that the big money's getting expirations out to the beginning of 2025, you can't just sell out whenever there's 2 days of pullbacks, so that's just the importance of following the big money, giving these plays the time they need, and really letting them develop here. So congratulations to everybody who won on these. Mike, there's been a lot of great posts in the Profits channel and just the discussion channel lately with these China stocks, so let's go. It's awesome to see them starting to pop up off the lows.
There we go. You got to follow the money, right? But we did hint a little bit about Alibaba and their earnings. So what is the earnings schedule looking like for the week?
Yeah, so BABA reports tomorrow. We do actually have Home Depot and Sea Limited tomorrow morning as well, but I think most people will be interested in BABA considering the move that happened today. On Wednesday, we do have Cisco in after hours. Then Thursday, we have Walmart, which will be big for consumers in my opinion, and then we'll have Baidu and JD Thursday morning as well. So definitely be ready for more volatility to come out of these China stocks this week. There's going to be quite a bit. Even Take-Two reports Thursday and after hours. So it's going to be a pretty big week for the earnings, Mike. But I would say the biggest thing, and, everyone always talks about Mr. Powell, right? The man, the myth, the legend. He's actually going to be speaking tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So be ready for that. He's going to be talking with the Dutch Central Bank president. So that's not going to be like a big FOMC event or anything like that, but it will have some impact on the market. Plus, I talked about the China inflation data, we're actually going to have our own inflation data tomorrow morning with the PPI data 1 hour before open. So between that and Powell plus the earnings, we have a pretty big day in store for tomorrow. And GameStop's like the cherry on top.
There we go. But like you said, the big man's coming back to speak tomorrow. Whenever Powell speaks, you just have to pay attention because he has more influence on the stock market than anyone else. But with that being said, Tom, I think we are all set to jump into some setups and predictions for tomorrow. A stock I'm watching pretty closely is WBA, which is Walgreens, and most of the time this is a very slow-moving, boring stock that nobody cares about, but it actually had a really good day today as it closed up by 5.5%, and it was up even more right around open. The intraday price action was phenomenal, and basically news came out where they're looking to sell their Boots pharmacy chain that's based in the UK, and clearly investors really love that. But the main thing I'm looking at this stock for in the short term is a potential continuation. It is very rare to see a stock like this move up this much this quickly, and it is so oversold in the grand scheme of things. Like right now the stock is at $18 a share, and just a couple years ago it was at $71 a share, and I know that doesn't necessarily mean anything like significant, but when you have a company like Walgreens, you normally don't see fluctuations this big. So when it is this oversold and it can have like the smallest bit of good news come in, it can really shift the I guess you could say supply and demand dynamics in the short term, and I think that it presents a really good risk reward. For example, its recent lows are around like $17 a share. So you can put like a stop loss right around there, and you could have a profit target all the way up to like $21 a share. And if you wanted to get a little bit more aggressive, you can maybe even move it up to like $22.50 a share. And given the stock's only at 18, that's a great risk reward with good news coming in and good price action and volume. So either way, it is on my upside radar.
Yeah, that's a pretty wild move on Walgreens, right? Like, it's been falling down quite a bit. There's been some good days mixed in, but to see that good news like that today and just the wick that it had there extending up, that was pretty wild. So I'll definitely keep it on my radar for the next couple days. And Mike, with my first play for tomorrow, I'm looking at the airline stocks, whether it's UAL or LUV. They had some pretty good pops today. UAL specifically is up 3.19%. I would love to see a breakout tomorrow up above 54.70. If we see that, then I will look at a possible continuation play to the upside and just really look at overall breakout potential, right? There was a lot of good movement at open, so if that comes in tomorrow at open, that'll kind of be the indication on whether or not to hop into this. So make sure you see a good breakout, see some good volume, but it's good to see the airlines popping off. Like even LUV had some really good movement today.
All right, sounds good. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is Netflix, and it is to the downside. So this stock has been moving in a pretty strong way over the past week or so, but it has a ton of resistance overhead. We could see if we went to like a daily chart that it has been stuck at this like $620 level to like $640 level for like the past couple of months now, and it has really struggled to break above that. The earnings weren't great, so to say. At least the reaction to them wasn't the greatest. And either way, the stock just has a lot of resistance overhead. It doesn't have that much momentum, and I am looking for a pullback on this one. I would love to see the stock get back below like $610, that support level, and then make a break lower, ideally down to like that $600 support. But it's not like the craziest setup in the world, but I do see a lot of sellers overhead and very little strength with the stock.
Yeah, I mean, I see in the short term, it's been kind of holding up higher, but it's not really getting that good breakout yet. Like, if we do see it end up, like, running above 624, then maybe adapt, right? Like, that's, like, the name of the game. But in the short term here, I'm definitely watching these resistances. I really like that 618 resistance. I could see a pullback to around 600, Mike, kind of like you mentioned, especially if 610 does end up breaking. But with my next play, I'm looking at Amazon within a similar way, to the downside as well. There's a big support in the short term right around 185. And if we can break under there, I will look at more downside potential here. If I do see a breakdown, maybe look at some intraday puts, maybe look to short the stock. Probably puts on Amazon. They usually are pretty well priced. But if it does break under 185, definitely watch it. You can see on Bookmap here, that is a very, very significant level. A lot of buyers stacked up there. So if 185 breaks, then go ahead and look at it to the downside. But until it breaks, it's really a no play. I would definitely make 185 break first here.
All right, sounds good. Well, with that being said, let's jump right into today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have Zoom to the upside. And Tom, this one is finally starting to see a little bit of daylight.
Yeah, it really is. I really like in the short term that 63.40 to 63.45 resistance. So if it can break that tomorrow, go ahead and look at some good breakout potential to the upside. I will say, though, on the hourly, it is nearing resistance. So just be a little wary of that. But in the short term, I think we could see a trade into resistance, then a possible breakout there. So really watch 63.40.
All right, with the next one, we have Chewy also to the upside.
The dogs around the world will rejoice, right? Go ahead and make Chewy break out above 16.20. That's a pretty good resistance there.
All right, and then with the last one, we have SMH to the downside.
Yeah, SMH was pretty weak today overall. Kind of like the market, very flat. If it ends up falling under 222.60, then look at a potential play down.
All right, so we have the downside level for SMH, and then we have the upside levels for Chewy and Zoom. These three stocks are on watch for potential day trades tomorrow, if and only if they break through the levels Tom listed. For the upside plays, we want the stocks to break through the levels and continue higher. And for the downside play with SMH, we want to break below that support and continuation lower. But either way, keep a close eye on these three stocks, and let's jump right into today's $670,000 big money trade of the day. And today we are looking at ticker symbol UAL. So today the big money put $670,000 into the UAL $57.50 strike call options that expire on September 20th of 2024. Looking at UAL, it has been moving in a very strong way ever since it reported earnings just a couple weeks ago, and the stock has been holding up very well and is actually getting very close to its recent highs, right around like $54.60 a share. Either way, these call options are slightly out of the money. They have a couple months worth of time to them, so the big money is looking for a decent sized move, at least relatively quickly, give or take a couple weeks or months. But the big money is looking at UAL in a bullish way right now. The price action's been good, and I can see this. I can see potential with this setup. But the biggest thing with it will be consistent pressure on its recent highs and just like a continuation of this bullish price action. If UAL were to dump off and get below that, like you could say, $51.50 area, that would be a bit of a warning sign. But either way, I think it's a very interesting setup.
It is. UAL had that good move with earnings. Now they've just been consolidating. If it does start to really break out above this range, I could see a much more significant run to the upside. I really do like these airline stocks for the short term, and I know that the big money play goes out to September, so that gives you even a little bit more time to hold here, which I do like as well. So I'm going to really eye up the big money play here on UAL. I really like the daily, Mike. It's coming back awesome. It's really good to see it starting to come back, but there is still like resistances overhead. I know that short-term level around 54 to 55 is huge, but even like on a longer term basis, like 58 to 60 is even a pretty big next couple levels coming up too. So definitely going to be watching for that. If it starts to break, like a move towards 58 to 60 might just be in the cards, and that would be great for the options on this big money play. So I really like this in the short term, and we're getting into the summer months, which generally is better for airlines and cruise lines here. So that's a good sign too.
Yeah, so looking at UAL, they have a lot of good things working for them in the short term, but at the same time, they still have a lot more work to do. As Tom mentioned, there's a decent amount of resistance overhead, and as you zoom out, you'll find that there's even more resistance. So either way, just keep a close eye on UAL going forward, because the big money's been doing pretty well lately. But as always, with big money trades, you have to give them the time that they need. They are not trades for the next day. This option has all the way out until like basically the end of September. So keep that in mind. But Tom, looking at the market right now, I'm pretty excited, especially compared to last week. We're starting to see a lot of exciting things happen, whether it be with GME and AMC, or the China stocks, or Jerome Powell speaking tomorrow, or inflation data, or anything else. I think this week's really going to be a good one.
It really is, and I'm loving the volatility already, and the GME and AMC hype is just starting to bring a lot more attention to stocks. Like, I was actually having people today who generally never talk about the market text me, and they're like, hey, is GME going crazy again? Like it's like everyone's hopping on the hype train already, right? And this is only day one. So let's see what happens over the next week or couple weeks. It's going to be a fun one. Of course, JP speaks tomorrow. Don't forget about that, guys, at 10 a.m. And then an hour before open, we will get that economic data. So that could throw a wrench into the market. But I'm most excited about AMC and GameStop. And while I might not trade it, it just, it's very exciting to see like all the big news there. Hopefully we keep seeing good moves with the China stocks, Mike. They had very good moves today, and Baba reports tomorrow. So, fingers crossed for Baba, right? I would love to see a nice report and just to see this nice continuation here to the upside. The same thing goes for Baidu and JD later in the week.
There we go. And then one other thing is that our big money sale for the trading floor, today is the last day for that. So we very rarely do sales for the trading floor. If you use coupon code Big Money, you save a whole lot. Basically, what you get access to is our full army of trading robots, access to our live events. You can chat with Tom and myself all day long, access big money plays on the same day they're made, and much, much more. We have hours upon hours of great educational content, and if you're in the short-term trading, it is the place to be. So if you want in on the trading floor, now's the time. The coupon code and link will be in the description and the comments down below. And while we're in the Discord, Tom, let's give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Greensalicious, who had a great trade with a BILI today, but then they also made just a phenomenal post in the testimonials channel. So huge shout out to you, Greensalicious. Thank you so much for being a great member of the community, and we love to hear all these kind words. So huge shout out to you, and thank you for everything. But besides that, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and let's make this week a great one.